Kevin Deerling, I'm the SVP of Networking at Nvidia.
So first of all, let's talk about for years, AI rest is like in GPUs and compute. And how do you see like in networking, it become more important, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, the company I worked for, Mellanox, Jensen acquired us 6 years ago now. And back then, we were actually a fairly small networking company, only about $1 billion revenue a year. And last quarter, we did nearly $16 billion in just the quarter. So we're now the world's largest networking company, bigger than all of the other companies combined. So networking, it turns out, was incredibly important for AI. And Jensen recognized that before anyone else. And so he bought Mellanox, and we've grown magically.
But everyone, every audience knows like GPU, like AI chip. Why is like networking important right now?
Yeah, it turns out that Jensen said something really interesting when he acquired us, and this was almost 7 years ago. Yeah. He said that people think that the computer is a box and it has an x86 in it and maybe a GPU. Yeah. And then we wrap sheet metal around it and we put some memory in it. He said that's not the computer. He said the data center is the new unit of computing, the whole data center. And if that's true, then you need networking to connect it. And he said, we are going to optimize across the entire data center stack. And we've been doing that for 6 years now, and we're still doing it. You need networking to connect all the GPUs together to make them one giant network at data center scale, an AI factory.
As AI agent become more important, is it like grow with networking, right?
Absolutely. Agents are really interesting. An agent, it used to be that human beings would send a prompt to a large language model and you'd get an answer. And pretty interesting, it's generative AI. And that's better than just searching for something. It can actually generate a response. Yes. And then human beings were kind of slow. We actually type slowly, we get cups of coffee, we take breaks, we go see other people, and then we come back and we might ask another question. Agents is AI eating its own tail. Yeah. It's AI generating an output and feeding it back to itself in what's called a harness, an agentic loop. And it turns out that if we're doing that really fast, then you have to keep all of the large language models, the LLMs, busy. They're running on GPUs. GPUs is an expensive resource. We want to keep it busy. So we need more and more data to feed the GPUs. GPUs are talking to CPUs now. Vera is our new CPU designed to run agentic tools. And it feeds back to itself, so we need lots of networking. The amount of networking that we're seeing, the requirements are exploding because of agents.
We saw like before, AI data center got only one rack. But now, Vera family got 5 racks. We got like CPU rack and LPX rack. Is it more important about like networking combines this together?
Exactly right. Because we have another rack, which is this STX rack for storage. All of them are based on the same standard form factors, which is liquid cooled, DC powered. You can plug these things in. Really helpful for our ecosystem partners to build these in the same factory. And now we actually need to connect them all together with networking. And so networking is becoming more and more important. The STX is important for memory.
Because everyone is talking about CPO for many years, for decades, but now it's coming true, right?
Yes, exactly right. So CPO is co-packaged optics. And in the past, we would have a switch chip like our Spectrum, which is our Ethernet switch chip, and it would go out and talk to the front panel of a switch box in that rack. And it would all be electrical from the ASIC, the switch ASIC, all along the PCB to the front of the panel, and we'd plug a little optical transceiver in there called an optical module. And we would convert from electrical to optical at the front panel. But it turns out as we've gone faster and faster and faster, the signaling, because we have so much data to communicate between the AIs, that the distance that we're traveling, even just from the chip to the front of the switch, the signal right at the switch is beautiful, electrically beautiful. We have a beautiful eye. But by the time it reaches the front panel, it's ugly. The signal degraded in that short distance that we're driving across the PCB because we're going so fast. And it gets ugly. So what do? We recreate the electrical signal. We run a DSP that regenerates the signal inside that little optical module. And then it sends a beautiful optical signal again. It becomes beautiful again. But what we do now is we move the electrical to optical. Instead of doing it at the front of the switch with these modules, we move it onto the package right next to the chip. And the distance is incredibly short. So what that means is the signal is beautiful when it leaves the chip, and we immediately convert it into a beautiful optical signal. So we don't need to run the DSP to do the retimer, and that saves power. It's all about power, and that's why it's happening now, is because of power. We cut the power in half in terms of each of those optical modules, and there's thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these optical modules. So we can save megawatts, we can save tens of megawatts, we can save hundreds of megawatts of power with co-packaged optics. So CPO is finally here, and we're really excited to have Spectrum CPO.
Before we have invent like Spectrum X, many analysts or Wall Street analysts saying CPO is just a daydreaming. And how do we make it come true?
Yeah, so the key thing there is it's very hard. Okay, if it was easy, it would already be here. And we have some great partners here. TSMC is a great partner. And we have been a partner with TSMC. We've been using their state-of-the-art products. Jensen and CC know each other, obviously, extremely well. And so we rely and we bet on TSMC and their COUP process. And so I think the fact is that there's other companies that have been offering things that have never quite made it to market.
Yeah, they also talk about CPO, but you haven't seen any product yet.
That's right. And one of the things that, I've known TSMC through my life for many, many years, for decades. And it's an incredible company. And they're so good at what they do, and they control the line width and the resolution and the quality, and everything they do is so well controlled. And it turns out some of the other people that were working on different types of CPO, different technologies, they didn't have that same control of the process. And TSMC is extraordinary. Today, it's obvious that it's the best company in the world at building these state-of-the-art processes. And so it turns out taking that technology and that discipline and all of the engineers that you have here in Taiwan and applying that to these COUP processes for optics, finally, we can have a breakthrough, and we can make this, because making one of something is very, very different than making millions of something. And with CPO, we need millions to scale this out in the AI factory. And that's very different than just building one of something. One is easy. Millions is hard.
Prototype is easy.
Prototype is easy.
Prototype in CES.
That's right. Probably about 5 years ago, that I said, hey, CPO is super interesting. Eventually we're going to need to do it. We'll need to do it because of power. Power more than anything else. But I said, it's a ways away. It's probably 5 years away. And I think that was about 5 years ago. That's how long it's going to take. But this is not something that is brand new. We've been working on this for years. TSMC has been working on this for years. We acquired a company, this is my previous company, we acquired a company in Denmark back in 2013, 13 years ago, working on these kinds of things. We've been working on silicon photonics. So this is not new, but now it's so important. We have to do it, and we have a great partner here in Taiwan with TSMC.
You start up more than 5 companies and stay in another companies. What's the difference between you in Nvidia, your own personal experience?
Yeah, I've worked for a lot of startups. Not all startups are created equal. Nvidia is the largest startup I've ever worked for. It still behaves like a startup. What? Jensen runs the company like a startup. Startups, they're always concerned hey, are we going to be around?
Yeah, and it's all about what we just mentioned, daydreaming, right?
Yeah.
Make daydreaming to come true.
That's right. And Jensen is just driven, and he has everyone else in the company thinking, okay, we have to do this. We have to convert this to this. And so I really love it. I've worked for big companies too. Most big companies are kind of slow moving. Nvidia is so fast moving. We move so fast.
Really, it's in my career in reporter, you see 1 year a need, or half year a new product. Yeah.
Yeah. He's completely transformed the way people think about building out computers. In the past, there was sort of this 2-year cadence that we saw. And Jensen said, no, that's not fast enough because we need to continue to improve because AI is moving that fast. We're seeing a cadence of models growing at 10x the number of parameters. The number of tokens are growing at 5x per year. Agents are going to explode the amount of tokens that we need. So we have to keep up. We have to keep up and keep improving the tokens per watt, the tokens per dollar that the AI factory can deliver. And that requires that we move like a startup. So I always say, NVIDIA is the world's largest startup.
Keep going, right?
Keep going.
So like doing networking, we just mentioned TSMC. How about another like Taiwan supply chain? Do we work out really hard with Taiwan supply chain to make this come true?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've seen in the past is everyone kind of wanted to build their own specialized products. And when they do that, we just don't get that 1-year cadence. We can't move fast enough. Yeah. And Taiwan is an extraordinary ecosystem for manufacturing, and there's lots of great partners, and they're focused not on building prototypes, but focused on building at scale. And as a result of that, we have all kinds of manufacturing partners, whether it's Wistron or Quanta or WeWin or AIC, all of these companies building different products. They conform to our reference architecture. We define a reference architecture, and we rely on Taiwan. We don't sell the products.
Yeah.
We don't sell these products. Our partners sell the products. So we're excited. I heard Jensen the other day talking to the Taiwanese ecosystem partners, and he said, hey, we're so happy for you that all of your stocks are going up. Yeah. We're so happy for you.
So like talk about like with like many hyperscalers are building their own solutions. How do we, NVIDIA, stay competitive?
So we just have to keep continuing to deliver better value. And we measure ourselves with tokens per dollar and tokens per watt. The hyperscalers are going to do different things, okay? That's fine, but we're focused on what we need to do. We think we have some unique advantages. We have 7 different chips that are connecting together. We've moved our platforms. They're all the same platform. So if you look at the Vera Rubin, the NVLink 72, if you look at the Vera Compute, if you look at our new Vera Bluefield 4 STX platform, all of those are the same form factor. They're connected with scale out, with Spectrum. This is not a single type of component. This is not, you can build this thing and it has better, I don't know, FP64 performance. Who cares? What really matters is, does that AI factory produce tokens cost efficiently? And that's what we're focused on, and we're going to continue to drive as fast as we can.